Hello again, I am Blunty. Now, Pokémon Sun and Pokémon Moon launched yesterday here in Aussie land and in Japan, and by now it should be out across North America too, with Europe frustratingly lagging behind for an extra fistful of days because, well, I don't know, maybe Nintendo just hate you guys or something. Now, I am streaming my first playthrough of Pokémon Moon on Twitch, and yesterday I spent about 6 hours casually and quite slowly going through it, and now we're at the first big town. Told you I was going slowly, and almost ready to move on to the first set of challenges, so feel free to drop by as we continue the playthrough. Twitch.tv/Bluntnate. Now though, Eurogamer went live with their supposedly well-sourced rumours about the third companion game, Pokémon Stars, which will be coming to the Nintendo Switch console. Now, I don't usually spend my time reading, and especially not making videos about rumours. Many of you already know how I feel about rumours. But Eurogamer do have a decent track record with Nintendo rumours in particular, and in fact I have my own source about their sources who tells me they're probably more likely to be right more often than wrong. Game Freak are already on record as saying they're working on a Pokemon game for the, what was then still called the NX, and Game Freak are the guys who do all of the core RPG Pokemon games anyway. So it was a pretty safe bet that the Pokemon game on the Nintendo NX, now called the Nintendo Switch, was going to be a core RPG entry anyway. So that's an easy guess. And especially so after the first few hours of playing Pokémon Moon. I had already myself begun to suspect the Pokémon game on Switch would be a direct follow-up. You see, Pokémon Moon makes far less practical use from the bottom touchscreen than even the likes of the remakes Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The bottom screen during main gameplay is nothing more than a dull map. Gone is the wonderful Dex nav that I loved from Alpha Sapphire. I don't know whether we get something like that later on in the game or not. But in fact, so far, there has been nothing that really takes advantage of both screens while using the touchscreen, which says to me the core mechanics of these secondary functions and user interface design was already created with the intent to make it easy to move them to a single screen device, as indeed the Nintendo Switch is. And that's pretty much what Eurogamer are reporting. The Switch version, so-called Pokémon Stars, will be the same basic game as Pokémon Sun and Pokémon Moon, same world, same map, same paths, same characters, only with a bit of a UI tweak for the single screen, and of course with all new higher resolution character models, environments, and textures. There's also been the suggestion that it'll contain an expanded selection of Pokemon in the wild, which is kind of a no crap kind of guess. And I'm sure there'll be other tweaks and new chunks of gameplay too, there usually is in these tertiary games. And I, for one, am 100% okay with this. The third entries in Pokemon Generations is something we've been missing for the past couple of releases. We never saw the often supposed Pokemon Z, there was no Pokemon Grey, and although no one really expected it, no remake of Emerald to go alongside the superb remakes of Sapphire and Ruby. And to finally have a core RPG Pokemon game on a console, albeit a hybrid handheld one, is something that Pokemon players have been screaming for at least a decade and a half. Something so far Game Freak have very stubbornly and achingly frustratingly just refused to deliver, but now they have no choice. The Switch is Nintendo's next console and next handheld, so they can't avoid putting it on the console now. Ha ha, Game Freak. A core-line Pokemon RPG that can be freed of the crippling power and resolution limitations of the handhelds, well, let's just say Pokemon is pretty much the only reason I even have a 3DS still. And certainly the only reason I spent all that money buying one with a modded capture card put into it. And of course with the Switch that won't be a problem at all because it will have HDMI out. Yay! Apparently, Pokémon Stars was originally slated for release early in 2017, but it has been delayed. No word on what kind of delay that is, hopefully not too far, because frankly, with the huge delay the Switch Zelda game just got, and the rest of the Switch launch lineup made largely from a chunk of Wii U remakes that failed to convince people that Wii U was worth owning, I rather suspect, like the Game Boy, the DS, and 3DS before it, Pokemon will be absolutely vital to actually selling hardware in very significant numbers. I'm not the only one who thinks Pokemon is one-off and in some cases the only reason to own or continue to own Nintendo's various handhelds throughout the years. And I know from a few of my own Twitch stream viewers, watching me play Pokemon Z and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire is literally the only thing that convinced them they need to go out and buy a 3DS. So looking forward to Pokemon Stars on the Nintendo Switch? Yeah! Oh, and for those who are no doubt asking what I think of Pokemon Moon so far, I will probably have a more detailed opinion piece about that quite soon, but in short, the first sections are catastrophically frustrating, with how often the game treats you like a complete moron, very, 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 very hand-holdy, and I really wish there was an option for veteran players to turn on so we can skip or at least quickly pass through all the baby mode tutorial stuff that slows everything right down to a catastrophic crawl. It is one of the worst, slowest, most plodding, frustratingly slow, interfering openings to a Pokemon game, or in fact pretty much any game that I've played. But once you're past that, it is indeed starting to get pretty classic Pokemon fun, so bear with it guys, it gets better. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.